The following is a presentation of iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Live tonight from the Langley Speedway, the 2016-2017 Upstate Racing League Les Enterprises Emperor Incorporated Pro Late Model Series continues into the second race of this 5-race chase for the championship, where we say good evening sim racing fans and welcome to the Langley Speedway for tonight's New York Dirt Kart Series 175. As always, happy to be topside with you, myself, Evan Pisoko, the LSRTV booth, alongside with Chris Murdoch upstairs, Trevor Valderrama downstairs as well. The lovely and talented Cisco Scaramuza is pushing the buttons and bringing us to you here this evening. We come into this race, something that we've been talking about all season, Chris, is that these races are going to get longer and longer, and we finally reached that point in the season with 175 laps tonight from Langley.
Yeah, definitely, Evan. I'm so excited for 175 laps, especially at a track like Langley. I love these short track Thursday nights, especially with the Upstate Racing League. So I'm excited to see how these chase drivers go with, race number 2 on the way here. So it's going to be a lot of fun here tonight.
Let's break down what we saw as of 1 week ago when we got this chase for the championship underway. Nicholas Rasmussen picked up the win with A.J. Hamill, Brian Rogers Jr., C.J. LeVere, A.J. Bunch drivers inside of the top 5. So where we sit right now with the championship standings, again, we talked about it last week. Wins in the regular season gave you some bonus points, not a lot. Nothing to really get all too comfortable about, but if we come down to a single-digit championship difference at the end, that could be the difference maker. But at least into tonight, your championship leader is your race winner from 1 week ago, Nicholas Rasmussen, with that third win at the top of the championship. 7 points above A.J. Hamill, Brian Rogers Jr., 1 point further back in third, Justin Fuller 1 point further back in fourth, and Brandon Otto tied with A.J. Bunch for fifth in the championship. Also, as you take a look at all the championship standings right now, 1 through 12, do want to give a shout out to Jason Stenny. Again, he is the only rookie driver to make it into this season's chase for the championship, but I think that the person we're going to be talking about tonight, Chris, is Brandon Otto, defending series champion and undefeated at this racetrack in the history of this series.
Yeah, definitely. Brandon Otto not having the race he wanted to last week at Bristol. You know, he dominated most of the race, was out to a commanding start, and just got plagued by the bad luck like Bristol normally does. So he's looking for a fresh restart at a track that he's very, very good at, Evan, Langley Speedway, and he's undefeated here like you mentioned. So he's going to look out there and go out there to command this field once again.
Just as it was 1 week ago, there are tires available down pit side. However, we didn't see anybody come down pit road to take tires on last week. Just as it was 1 week ago tonight as well, the drivers are able to make it start to finish on fuel. But Trevin, because we had 125 laps 1 week ago and we have 175 tonight, the race is a little bit longer, so there may be a couple of guys coming down pit road to get those tires. We'll really just have to wait and see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how these guys use these 4 tires to their advantage. Last year we had Bristol bank track, but this week we have Langley, which is a flatter track, and they're going to be using more tire wear. Now, the point standings is from the top, from all the point standing from the championship is separated by 23 points. Points can be lost very easily on pit road with any little mistake they have. So we'll be keeping an eye out on that for pit road.
And as you take a look overhead of the Langley Speedway, you could also notice that the pit lane is rather small, but it is a little bit of a bigger track, so these guys might be able to get those 4 tires at once with the bat. I know a lot of the times we talk about how while 4 tires are available, guys will often want to go with 2 tires at 2 points in the race. Again, the car can only go up on the jack a maximum of 2 times over the course of the night. Do it also note we were talking about Jason Stenny. He is 8th in the overall championship. He still leads the 9 Cheese Autosport rookie points. That could change if somebody like an Alex Oriens or a J.D. Callahan has a good night. Also, your championship leader, Nicholas Rasmussen, comes into tonight at the top of the Upstate Power Rankings with Brian Rogers Jr. in second, AJ Hamel third, Brandon Otto fourth, and CJ LeVere in fifth. We get set to go racing for the second time on the chase for the championship. We go trackside and take a look at tonight's LSRTV starting grid. The NHR Pole Award tonight belongs to none other than your championship leader, Nicholas Rasmussen, in his number 71 Monte Carlo SS. Got a 15.319 to start on pole, and he'll be joined by CJ LeVere on the front row in second. The fastest driver in practice, Justin Fuller, starts tonight third. Mr. Langley Speedway, Brandon Otto, undefeated here in series history, starts P4, and AJ Hamel is fifth.
In that sixth position, that's that 31 machine of Alex Oriens, Stefan Marinak, 7th, 8th, Justin McDuff, James McIntyre Jr. in 9th, and rounding out your top 10, that's that chase driver Brian Rogers Jr. in that 12 machine.
11th position for AJ Bunch, Al Smith Jr., 12th, 13th for my Colts Cocktail, Frenier in 14th, and Danny DeBuke in 15th. Final times in qualifying, Sean Cool, Eric Spencer, and Jay DeBuke in 16th, 17th, and 18th in provisionals to Jason Stenney and Paul Fugate to round out your field in 19th and 20th position. A pace car going to come by this time. We get set to go green the next time around. Let's talk about this Langley Speedway. Just a little bit under 0.4 of a mile in length, banking at 6 degrees. It is a very wide cornered racetrack where the straightaways, essentially you spend less time on them than you do in the turns, but it's something that Trevin noted, Chris. It is a very flat track, which is something that we're going to have to watch.
Yeah, definitely. You're going to have to watch that 6 degrees of banking. It's going to be interesting to see these drivers. You can get in here really hot, Evan, and slow it down through the center of the corner. So it's going to be interesting to see how hard these drivers dug in as the pace car pulls off, waiting on that green flag. The green flag's out. Nicholas Rasmussen commanding the field off to a great start after a shove from Justin Fuller, and they're off down into off of turn 2.
Very easy to see the first time as he went through the quarters. Basically, the entire car was down below that very thick yellow line on the inside of the racetrack. Rasmussen, no problems as he leads lap number 1. Expected everybody to want to obviously flock down to the inside of the racetrack. Just like that, we're single file all the way inside of the top 10. Side by side a little bit further back for 11th spot. Justin McDuff going to lose the spot to Brian Rogers Jr., who comes up the bottom, and now it looks like that 20 struggling to get back down to the inside as here comes the 61, the 73, and even more, friends.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to take a call here for a second, Evie, to talk about that 43 machine of Jason Stenney, all the way back in the 18th position. He took a provisional in this race, which means he did not qualify on this race. And to me, that throws a red flag off because, you know, we're 2 races into the chase, and I know there's still a lot of racing left to go, Evan, but I think it's just a little bit too late to be taking provisionals here. So it's going to be interesting to see him try to drive his way back up through a field, especially like a tough track here at Langley.
Couple of different tracks also still to come over the course of the next 3 races before we decide a champion. We've got Stafford in 1 week's time, and then, of course, 5 Flags in New Smyrna, some of the funnest short tracks on the sim. So things aren't going to get any easier outside of tonight. That battle with McDuff ended up dropping him all the way to 14th position. And an ex-driver who got stuck topside is Alex Oriens. He started in 6th position, and now he may go all the way back to 14th because now that 20 machine has kind of become a part of the big line on the inside of the racetrack. He'll follow the 73 of Eric Spencer up to the inside, and they will make it side by side for that 13th spot.
Yeah, being on the outside here, especially this early on, Evan, is something you don't want to do. These laps are taken away by fast. You know, we have 175 laps. We've just completed lap 7 on to lap 8 now. So being on the outside is not where you want to be. I want to take a call to Brian Rogers Jr. up here in that 12 machine. He's right on the back bumper of James McIntyre Jr., who's a non-chaser. That's going to be shaping up to be a battle for the 8th position. So Brian Rogers Jr. trying to rebound from last week after getting caught in a late race caution. He's going to try to rebound and make Langley his race.
And in a pretty good spot right now. He's +1 from where he started, and so is Brian Rogers Jr. behind him. They get to 9th and 8th and then 10th and 9th, respectively, on the racetrack. And again, all those guys picking up spots because, again, Justin McDuff fell from 8th to 13th, and Alex Oriens, his slide takes him all the way down to 16th position. So he lost 10 spots in that exchange alone simply by getting stuck on the outside of the racetrack as everybody fought tooth and nail to get back down to the bottom of the battle. Right now for third position to maybe shape it up, and CJ Levere trying to hold that spot the last time by 1 second off of your race leader Nicholas Rasmussen. So far no challenge for the driver up in front in the number 71 machine. Fuller just a little bit in front of this battle, runs in second. He himself is 7/10 off of the point, but it looks like AJ Hamel and Brandon Otto all over CJ Levere as the two's got a mirror full of company as they head back off to 1 and 2.
Yeah, they're both driving in really hard. You see Brandon Otto getting underneath that thick yellow line that can only last for so much longer. As you see him run a little bit wide, he's got the 25 of Stefan Marinac. So all of these drivers right here that you see in your picture are chase drivers as Brandon Otto dives it almost into AJ Hamel in the corner panel. So it's going to be interesting to see how hard they drive. Still a lot of racing laps to go, Evan, so you can't afford to make too big of a mistake and get into the guy you're racing for a championship, because that could spell disaster later on down the line.
There is no doubt that tonight's race, 175 laps in distance, again, isn't all that much. It's 69.125 miles between the green and the checkered flag, but it is still a much longer race as far as having to hit your marks for an extra 50 times around. There's a lot of races where the winner at lap 75 would have been completely different compared to the race winner at lap 125 and what we've seen. So we know that a 50-lap difference in a short track race, especially if we get a couple of late race cautions here and there, which tends to be the trends in some of these races, things can really get excited from that point. So far, so good, though. 19 drivers took the green flag tonight as we go side by side with the lap machine of the 65 Vijay Dubuque. He is now the second driver to go 1 lap down. He and Cale Frenier 1 lap off of the lead lap at the moment. Paul Fugate, only driver that did not take the green flag, will get the DNS back P20.
Yeah, definitely. Nicholas Rasmussen, picking him up and putting him down here, Evan. He's about 6/10 in front of that 51 machine of Justin Fuller, who's back there in second. He's had no challenge since the start. And on that start, the 51 did give him a little bit of shove to get him past that 2 machine of CJ Levere, and he's just taking it and run with it. AJ Hamel still trying to battle off Brandon Otto, as Brandon Otto's all over the back bumper. CJ Levere's been able to at least hold a steady gap between those two drivers, but Brandon Otto not going to let up on this 18 machine as he's trying to get around him for the past few laps here now.
Well, you do see that 24, which is exactly what we noted on the opening lap of the race, continues to go lower and lower and lower. And again, the inside is the place to be. It's not technically a double yellow line, so if you really want to go down to the apron, I guess it's fair game, but typically the guys in front of you, they'll keep those left side tires down on that yellow line and essentially try to keep you at bay and not let you get down inside of them, because we've seen how critical it is to stay on the bottom. The 24, though, maybe just a little bit too good up the inside, and they might have touched that time off of 2, but Brandon Otto finally gets that spot, goes +1 and goes to P4, back where he started on the night, and really gets that spot back from AJ Hamel as he kicks the 18 back to P5, and now he will set his eyes on CJ Levere.
Yeah, he can't afford to waste any time here, He's got to get up there, as we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, Evan. He is undefeated here at Langley, so he's looking to keep that title, and he's got a few other drivers to make it through. He's right now on the back bumper, trying to do the same thing he did to that 18 machine of AJ Hamel, to that 2 machine of CJ Levere, so he's not going to waste any time. He's going to try to get back up to the lead, because Nicholas Rasmussen is just running away with this thing at the moment. He's keeping a steady gap of about a second and a half on Brandon Otto, and that's half a second on Justin Fuller, so that just puts a little bit in perspective of how much work Brandon Otto has to do here tonight.
One thing that we talked about was really step it up to the plate when it mattered the most, and we talked about some stats as of 1 week ago with Nicholas Rasmussen on how he had at that point 2 wins on the season compared to 3 wins and 4 wins for the drivers in front of him, as you see him get another spot, that time up the inside of CJ Levere, and put it himself in 3rd overall. He did not have the most wins that have everybody into this championship. Brandon Otto had 3 in front of him, Justin Fuller had 4 in front of him, but what we put it out was that Nicholas Rasmussen was the most consistent of those drivers. Although he didn't win as many races as they did, he had the most top 5s and the most top 10s out of anybody in this series, and we kind of debated that getting those consistent results are good, but in a 5-race chase for the championship, consistency is definitely a part of it. You can't have a 25th place finish, I think, and honestly expect to win the championship. But at the same time, winning these races is key, and we were questioning, can this everyone get that little bit more, and so far so good, but Justin Fuller has started to reel him in. A gap that was about 7/10 of a second at lap 15 is 4 at lap 30, as they work around the 65 at Jay Dubuque and put him down a second lap. There may just be a battle for the race lead, not all that far away.
Yeah, definitely, and it seems to the luck is turning around here for Justin Fuller. He's had a really bad couple of weeks here in the Upstate Racing League. He's able to turn it around now. He's right almost on the back bumper of that 71 machine. And speaking of Nicholas Rasmussen, we've talked about it last week. I've had the pleasure of talking to him a lot over the course of this season, Evan, just because of how consistent that driver is. And you mentioned stepping up to the plate. Well, he's coming off ahead of steam after Bristol, picking up that win in the first race. So he's definitely stepping up to the plate, and I'm expecting a lot more out of that driver.
The thing is, if this race stays clean and green and goes a good distance, then things aren't going to take all that long. Again, these guys knock it out just about 4 laps every minute. The pace has fallen off a little bit from the low 15s from what we saw in qualifying. Actually, impressive enough is 17 out of the 18 guys who took a time in qualifying were in that 15-second range. From Rasmussen, P1 with a 15.3, all the way back to Eric Spencer in 17th with a 15.8. So right now, the pace is down to about 16.34 seconds. Your race leader the last time by put down a .350 compared to a .345 and now a 329 for Justin Fuller. So he most definitely is closing in, and so is Brandon Otto. When he made that pass on CJ Oliveira for third, they were about 1.3 seconds off of the top spot. He's now cut that down by half a second to 8:10. So Rasmussen took off on the start of this race, but it looks like he's being caught by both second and third and may be in for some trouble.
Yeah, definitely. Justin Fuller is there now on the back bumper of that 71 machine. So it may be a little bit of a thing where he just tried just a little bit too hard at the beginning and, wasted too much of his tires at the beginning. Now, as we mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, as Trevor mentioned, you have 2 jacks, which basically means you have 4 tires, which you can pull up the car on twice. So, he still has the opportunity to take those tires, which he might have to do. But Brandon Otto, now on the back bumper of Justin Fuller, I mentioned it earlier, Brandon Otto can't waste any time if he wants to, defend his streak here at Langley, and he's doing just that. He's right now on the back bumper of Justin Fuller. So this once 1-car lead has now turned into a 3-way battle for this lead.
Brandon Otto is somebody who is not a stranger to success in this Upstate Racing League. Obviously, coming into this as a defending series champion. A couple of wins to this point on the season, 2 of which, if you want to count as well the All-Star race, that number is going to go all the way up to 4 for overall. But Brandon Otto has gotten the job done several times. South Boston, as well as the Lays Enterprises MP All-Star race, and then also Oxford and Southern National. So he had all kinds of momentum coming into this chase for the championship. The fact that he didn't have an all too spectacular showing as of 1 week ago in the chase opener really, I don't think, hurts him that much, is to see the 51 dive to the bottom. Took a look that time in 3 and 4, can't do it, steps back up the hill, and Justin Fuller's not typically one, Chris, who likes to sit around and wait. If he wants you to move, he'll make you move.
Yeah, and I've seen him get really close to the back bumper of Nicholas Rasmussen multiple times here, Evan, even to where I think he's actually going to do it. Justin Fuller is not one of the more patient drivers in this racing league, so it's going to be interesting to see how long he actually waits, because he can't wait too long, or that 24 of Brandon Otto is going to capitalize and make a move on him. So I think here within the next few laps, we might see that 51 machine of Justin Fuller start using that bumper and maybe try to get Nicholas Rasmussen up the track and take that lead before Brandon Otto does something with it.
You can really see in the wide shots how big of a racetrack this is, and again, it seems kind of funny to say that for a track that is, just .395 a mile in length, but it does have relative width. So you see the lap car get around that time by. Not much problem for your race leaders getting on through. Fuller kind of caught the 65 at a bad spot. They got into each other a little bit, but we've seen times in the past where they don't even have that amount of space to work with, and I'm sure Fuller didn't appreciate it. I don't really think it's going to hurt the 51 all that bad. The lap car did what he should have. He just kind of in a bad space. But the longer we go green, the more lap drivers are going to become a factor down with only 15 cars on the lead lap. And that's something that these guys are going to have to progressively deal with as the night goes on. A couple of guys now out of this race, though. Cale Frenninger is 31 laps down on the pit lane. He's not going anywhere. Neither is Eric Spencer, whose night is done behind the wall. So there really are only 2 lap machines, 16th and 17th, Alex Orions and Jay Dubuque at the moment.
Yeah, that means there's 15 cars on the lead lap. 14th right now, that 43, and your rookie points leader, and the only rookie in the chase, Jason Stinney, in that 43 machine, sitting 14th. So if he wants to stay above that lead lap, he's got some work to do. He's sitting about maybe a second off of Sean Cool in that 13th position. So not having the best night, or best start to the night, I should say, as he wants. Justin Fuller, if we bounce back up here to the lead, he's still right behind, Nicholas Rasmussen. He's fallen off a few tenths just because of that contact he had with that 65 machine of Jay Dubuque. So it's going to be interesting to see if anything affects him. I see there's a little bit of right front damage on that 51 machine, so it could play a little bit of a factor as you see, Nicholas Rasmussen starting to open up a little bit more of a gap on this 51 machine.
Just about at the 1/3 marker in this one now, with 50 laps complete so far and green to this point. And Trevin, I would have to think that these guys wouldn't come down pit road under green flag conditions. And again, we'll wait and we'll see. The tire fall off hasn't been all that bad. Our race leader Nicholas Rasmussen, his best lap was a 15.5. After 50 laps, he's still running in 16.3s. I don't think it's all that bad, but we talk about it a lot at some of the bigger tracks. You pit, you're going to lose a lap. Here, you come down pit road, especially if you're getting tires, which would be the only reason you'd come down pit road, because these guys could make it on fuel. You would lose tons of time. So as we see them go side by side for second, with Brandon Otto coming up the inside, I would expect, at least if this stays green, for these guys to want to stay off of the pit road as we watch this fight.
Yeah, it's only a 0.395 mile track. If you come down pit road, you're going to lose at least 3 laps. So we'll see if there's any strategy along with that. I don't think anybody will come down under green flag conditions. Everybody will probably wait for a caution flag, which I'm thinking is going to come really soon, the way that these guys are racing right now. And we're seeing a lot of guys struggle with turning in the corners. I'm thinking that the tire wear is starting to go down quite a bit because of the spanking.
I think that's about the second time by the last couple of laps we saw quite the big bobble, Chris, from Justin Fuller. Stepped it up the hill again that last time by. Somehow, though, able to stay in front of Brandon Otto. That's great news for Nicholas Rasmussen, because these guys have been chasing him down, and the more they fight, the bigger of a little bit of an advantage that he himself can gain, despite the fact that I think at the moment, probably not the best car on the racetrack.
Yeah, definitely haven't. And, he was able to hold on to that second place position. I don't know if we caught it or not, but he was pinching that 24 machine way lower on this racetrack than you're even supposed to go, especially with how these tires worn. You mentioned the tire fall off, not too bad, but you can't afford to go below that, solid yellow line too far. And that's what Justin Fuller was doing. He was forcing that 24 below the yellow line, and had just got the 24 just a little bit upset and sent him back a little bit. So Justin Fuller can take a little bit of a breath now. Maybe not, as you see Brandon Otto dive it down in there, almost getting into the back bumper of Justin Fuller. So Nicholas Rasmussen's got to be loving this. That way he can have time to pull away from this mess.
Yeah, Rasmussen again took off really early in this race, and I wasn't honestly expecting to see Fuller and Otto close in as quickly as they did. Sometimes you'll see the race leader obviously get the lead off for the restart to start these things off. Obviously, inside of the front lane gives him a big advantage. Another slide by Fuller that time. We're talking about guys cheating down low. Those left side tires were on the flat at a quarter number 4, and it about bit him that time, but he continues to stay in the gas. But Rasmussen didn't take off because the guys behind him were fighting side by side for second. We talk about how battles are going to allow the guys in front to take off. It's not like there was a big battle for P2. He drove away from these guys, and it wasn't 3 seconds in the opening 10-15 laps. So it didn't look like he was necessarily pushing it, but as we take a look at the battle for a second, 2 shots at him upper that time on behalf of Otto. We've said it multiple times and we'll say it again. He is undefeated at Langley and was kind of anticlimactic all night long. 3rd in practice, 4th in qualifying. However, right now, he does look like he has the best, I think, long-run car through 64 laps this time by.
Yeah, definitely. And what's even more dangerous than a fast Brandon Odo an angry and fast Brandon Odo, which he might be a little bit upset with that 51 machine with how he was racing him early on in this race. We mentioned that these laps go by fast, but there's still a lot of racing left to go, Evan, and I feel like Brandon Odo's not too happy with how he was raced by that 51 machine. You saw him give him 2 good shots to the back bumper. He might be looking to give him more, maybe move him out of the way this time, since you did mention Brandon Odo is the fastest car out of the 3 cars up here right now, so he's going to try to get around that 51 machine and make quick work of that 71 machine right now. But the 71 machine of Rasmussen's got to be loving this, because he hasn't had that much of a challenge since these two have been battling it. As you see him almost get back into the back bumper of Justin Fuller once again. So you know Brandon Odo may not be too happy with that 51 machine.
All 3 of them that time packed together in the setup of the quarter. Fuller was right up on the back of the 71, and the 24 was right on the back of the 51. So things are going to get good. It's always interesting when you have somebody catching up to a guy who is catching up to another guy. That's how things get fun, because the 51 has to make a decision at the moment. Either push it and make a move, commit to the inside, and try to get around Rasmussen, or risk the 24 Fuller, or rather the 24 Voto doing the same to himself. If he gets off the gas, sees an opening, doesn't go for it, and lifts, 24, I bet you, is going to have no intentions of doing it. And if Brandon Odo, I think, gets around Fuller and gets to Rasmussen first, I don't think the 51 would be able to catch the 24. Best thing Fuller can do, make the pass for the race lead and leave the 24 to deal with the 71 in the battle for second behind, as that's the second time that time by we saw Justin Fuller kind of get hung up by catching a lap car on the exit of the corner.
Yeah, I say if Justin Fuller lets that 24 machine by, which I know that's not what Justin Fuller plans to do, is let that 24 machine by, Evan, but if that 24 machine does get by Justin Fuller, I'd say this is Brandon Odo's race. Like we've seen in years past, Brandon Odo's so good at this track, and he's just basically biding his time now. You haven't seen him get up on the back bumper of Justin Fuller, as you see Justin Fuller give Nicholas Rasmussen a shot, and it almost comes back to bite Justin Fuller as he gets another big bobble going into the corner there that time, Evan. So Justin Fuller's got in a sandwich right now between Brandon Odo and Nicholas Rasmussen. He just can't figure out a way to get by the 71, and he's got to defend that 24 machine from getting by him.
This is a battle between the drivers who run 1st, 4th, and 5th in the championship. Rasmussen into tonight on top of them all. Justin Fuller, who runs in 2nd at the moment, it was 9 points off. And Brandon Odo, who runs 5th at a championship, 10 points off. The guys in between these guys at the points, AJ Hamill and Brian Rogers Jr., running just 4th and 7th respectively, as Hamill and, of course, Rogers run 4th and 7th as they run at the moment. So we'll continue to see how this saga plays out. These guys are not giving up on each other. Fuller historically, and for those who have tuned in, I would say normally, regularly on Thursday nights, but I think if you ever see Justin Fuller race, you'll know that he's not somebody who likes to take it easy, and the fact that he is slipping and sliding, and I don't think he's lifting the right foot off of the pedal at all, is not surprising at all, despite the fact that we're just 77 laps into this race. We've now hit a second of fall off. 16.5s are about the average times for the guys up front, and despite the fact that they've really been going at it, Chris, nobody behind them catching up. How about a battle for 4th? We'll just let you know what's going on back there. It's nearly 5 seconds back from the lead, but AJ Hamill and AJ Bunch all that far apart of each other.
Yeah, definitely. They're one of the closer battles we have on track. Most of the drivers here at Langley are spread out, so these two are also chase drivers. We got the 18 of AJ Hamill, he's in 2nd, and the 19 of AJ Bunch, who is running about tied for 5th right now with Brandon Odo at 10 points. So they got a lot of battling to do throughout the rest of this chase, but right now they seem to be a little bit spread apart, not really going at it too hard. They know they got a few more laps of racing to go, so maybe AJ Bunch trying to size up AJ Hamill, and it's kind of the battle of the AJs here, Evan.
Did have an issue a lap ago. The 20 at Justin McDuff lost control of his tracker boat's entry. A little bit of a spin. Trevity's down on pit road.
Yeah, we're talking about tire wear tonight. That's the biggest factor. It's a small banked track. The car just got loose from under him, and it just went over.
Take a look on the LSRTV replay. He took that car down pit side with the a quick toe, and his night is done. McDuff has brought that machine behind the wall, and it's kind of what we've seen a couple of times out of new race leader Justin Fuller. He and Brandon Odo have finally been able to punch their way around Nicholas Rasmussen. The 51 opened up the inside, and once that happened, there was really nothing stopping the 24 from helping him. I think the 71, Chris, might have even checked up because that spin was in front of our leaders, and that little bit of a checkup might have what opened the door for Fuller and Odo and given them that opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely what happened there, Evan. Nicholas Rasmussen just playing it safe because, you know, to finish first, you must finish, and that was just great awareness from that 71 machine, but it did cost him 2 positions. He's in third, and he doesn't have too much trouble out the back, so maybe if he can get back up there to the 24 and the 51, as you see the replay back up on your screen, as you see Justin Fuller get right by and Brandon Odo follow right on through by that 71 machine. Now, I don't think it's going to be too clean of a battle up here for the lead because, you know, the laps are winding down quick, Evan, and Brandon Odo's got a streak to defend.
Yeah, there's a little bit of bragging rights. I know that going, 3 for 4 wouldn't really be that bad of a deal or whatever, the number ends up being if Fuller's able to get this, but if there's 2 guys that, again, Nicholas Rasmussen, we keep talking about this, and I think it's a good point, was a rookie not all that long ago. When you look back at the past couple of seasons, he was very good, so I'm not surprised to see him being such a big part of this championship battle as he starts to fall off with the top 2 in that number 3 spot at the moment. But historically in this series, it is Justin Fuller versus Brandon Odo, and whenever that happens, things tend to get fun. And the 24 looking for a little bit of redemption, so is the 51, in all honesty, off of last week.
Yeah, definitely, and this time, Brandon Odo into 1 and 2 took all 4 tires on that flat part of the track here, Evan. He's trying to pass this 51 and get right by the 51 machine in any way possible. He's trying to waste as little time as possible because he knows he doesn't have that many laps left.
With that, we have crossed the halfway point in tonight's New York Dirt Kart Series 175 from the Langley Speedway. We'll take this opportunity to take a look at your iRacing Midway Race Break, brought to you by iRacing, the world's leading esports racing game with professional partners including NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, and Midibor. At the halfway point tonight from Langley, it is Justin Fuller in the race lead, with Brandon Odo second and Nicholas Rasmussen in third. That well-documented battle still much in the works. That battle for fourth is now 6 seconds off of the top spot. AJ Bunch still in front of AJ Hamill by about 0.3 of a second. CJ LaFerre and Bryde Rogers Jr., they're battling for 6th and 7th, about 8.3 seconds back. Stefan Baranek, double-digit seconds off. He's 10.6 seconds off of the race lead in 8th, with James McIntyre Jr. in 9th and Danny DeBoog rounding out your top 10.
And that 11th spot, that's that 96 of Al Smith Jr. 12th, and your final leader, your final lead lap car, I should say, is that 5 of Sean Cool. 13th position goes to that 43 of Jason Stinney, who just got lapped by our leaders 1 lap ago. Evan Mike Holtzclaw, 14th, 15th Alex Oriens, 16th Jay DeBuke, 17th Justin McDuff, 18th Eric Spencer, and rounding out your field in that 19th position is Kel Fernier.
Look top to bottom at your iRacing Midway Race Break. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, you can visit iRacing.com and sign up today. 5 laps away from lap number 100. As we no longer count up, we begin to count down towards the end of tonight's New York Dirt Kart Series 175. Battle for the race lead is on, though. Lap traffic just out the front of the 50-minute Justin Fuller. Odo is there. Took a sweet at the back bumper the last time. Wasn't able to do anything with it, but now he's really starting to modify his line. Goes a little bit higher, ducks a little bit low. We'll see if this lap traffic's a factor as the 5 car holds the top side.
Yeah, definitely, and I saw the 51 machine get a little bit squirrely off of that corner there, Evan, so he's not having a good time with the handling of this car, and it's going to allow Brandon Odo to just try and pick away at that 51's mistakes. So you saw him take a swing at the back bumper. He just now got past that lapped car. That's the 5 car of Sean Cool that now puts 11 cars on the lead lap. So definitely going by fast here, Evan. So Brandon Odo trying to pass any way he can here at this track.
Going in line behind them is that lap machine. The 5 is not a part of the battle. Nicholas Rasmussen is, I'm sure, doesn't appreciate Sean Cool getting right into the thick of things. Again, Rasmussen was falling back as is, but if the 5 stays there, it's not really going to help the cause of the number 71. Sean Cole, though, not all that slow behind the wheel of the 5. He's doing a good job of keeping pace with your race leaders at the moment, but again, is right there. Rasmussen going to go up the inside and get around him. So we wait. How long does the 24 wait before he goes to make a move, as we now have 100 laps complete and 75 laps to go, Chris? He's got plenty of time. There's no rush. But the 24 kind of has to decide, does he have a good enough car to make the move now, or does he want to wait and risk that maybe by the time he decides to make a move later on down the road, then his car might not be better. He has to kind of calculate that and figure it out.
And in my opinion, Evan, I think the 24 does have a better car than the 51 machine at this moment in time. You see these drivers going back and forth, and it seems like they make a mistake at the same time. One lap ago, Justin Fuller and Brandon Odo both got loose at the same time in the same point of the corner. They're trying to push these cars as low as they can without spinning them out, and it almost comes back to bite them multiple times here, Evan. So it's just a matter of time till one makes that really big mistake, whether it's Brandon Odo who falls back maybe to Nicholas Rasmussen, or it's Justin Fuller who just makes a mistake, as they're in the thick of things now, battling this lap traffic. So it should be interesting to see which driver is able to navigate the lap traffic better.
And there's going to be a lot of lap traffic upcoming. They're closing in on the back bumper. The 96 of Al Smith Jr. Caution flag is out. Up into the outside fence. It looks like off in the quarter number 1 is the 19 of AJ Bunch. Running in 7th spot. Just had a big wiggle off of quarter number 4. Tried to hang on to it. That car went back up into the outside wall. And the caution flag is out there for pit road is open. Almost at halfway, Trevin. Cars down for the first time.
We were talking about this all night. It was only a matter of time until one of them spun out. We're going to follow the 51 and the 24 on pit road. It looks like they'll be taking tires on the right side. That's their first jack and 2 tires of the race. So will they be using it later? Will they be using the other 2 later on in the race if there's another caution?
Looks like they're going to put left sides up as well, and it'll be 4 tires for at least the guys up front. They don't have a lot of time because the pace car going to be swinging on around, but the 51 and the 71 going to come out 1-2. Brandon Odo comes off of pit road in the number 4 position. Stefan Marinak went to, I believe, came down to the pit lane and went with right side tires only. And then the 71, who came out pit road in front of him, also went 4. 25 is going to come back down to get his. And I think what that might have been, Trevin, was that he was concerned that if he took all 4 tires at once, he was going to lose his lead lap status. So it's not the best strategical move because it'll cost him a lot of spots coming back down, but he will eventually get 4 tires back this time to get the other 2.
Yeah, we saw the leaders take 4 tires. Maybe he thought he was just going to get out in front of them or something, or lose a lap, but he went back down around on the second time, and I think that's going to put him further back. I don't know if that was a great strategy call by him, but we'll see how it plays out for him when they line back up and get ready to go green.
Looks like he was running at about 8th at the halfway point. It'll drop him to 9th, so it's not as good as the P3, in which he was after that first trip down to the pit lane, but it is not necessarily terrible. Per se. So this is going to restack the lineup here tonight. The number 2 is CJ LeVere. You see him out in front of race leader Justin Fuller, looking to get a wave by, but now we kind of hit the reset button, Chris. This race, we saw it go green more than what the 50% margin was in this, so this could easily go green to the end as the lights go off.
Yeah, definitely. As they're doubling up to go, lights go off now. Evan, you got the Brian Rogers Jr. in that 3rd place position, and Brandon Odo in 4th. So we got a lot of shaken up now. Nicholas Rasmussen reclaiming that 2nd spot. That was, the beneficial first pit stall that he had from qualifying on the pole here, Evan. So it's going to be interesting to see. Never mind, the race control has extended the pace lap 1 more lap to get everybody situated and back from the wave around that just took place. So 1 more lap here, Evan. Should be a lot of racing left to go.
It's going to be a completely different kind of race in the next 50% or so compared to what we saw earlier on. We're working lap number 111 of 175 on the night. The iRacing.com Ford Mustang GT pace car going to make the sharp left-hand turn down to the safety of the pit lane this time by. And the 51 is going to be in control of the field. Rasmussen down in the front row with him, Brian Rogers Jr. to third, and Brandon Otto fourth, with AJ Hamill inside of the top 15. Again, you can identify all those chase cars by the orange markers on the numbers, both on the cars and on the ticker. Back green in contact with Brandon Otto. The 24 slides, and a big save at a quarter number 2. That one going to hurt him very much as he falls back in the pack, but the car is still in one piece.
Yeah, and that gives Nicholas Rasmussen and Justin Fuller time to pull away from this pack a little bit. So bad luck strikes Brandon Otto once again for the second week in a row here. Langley Speedway, the streak is not looking too good at this moment in time, Evan. He's got a lot of work to do to maybe try and catch these lead lap drivers, but these cars go around this track so fast. You mentioned about 4 laps a minute, so it just doesn't seem feasible at this point. He was knocked all the way back to the 7th place position. He's got a lot of work to do, Evan, but I think he can do it, just maybe.
He had fallen all the way to 8th. He's already back up to 6th. He was able to quickly get around Al Smith Jr., quickly get around James McIntyre Jr., so he's using the apron to help himself out. He's got some fresh tires so he can do this, but things were looking great for the 24 right before that caution flag out, because he was right behind Justin Fuller, and at that point, again, looked like he maybe had a little bit of a better car on the long run. Not necessarily a mistake on pit road, but we talked about mistakes on the pit lane being a factor, but did lose positions because he lost spots. He restarted on the outside of row 2, not the outside of row number 1, and then he was in a position in which, not to his own fault, but again, those kind of things add up. That's where the contact led to. I'll be interested to see what happens when he gets back up the 18 of AJ Hamill, who is in third. Right now, he's going to try to work around the 25 of Stefan Baranek in a battle for P4 as he continues try to march his way forward. Meanwhile, Justin Fuller, your race leader, Rasmussen on that first run was much better on the short run. So we'll see if the 71 can do anything as he challenges about a half car length off the bumper.
Definitely, and we got to pay attention now to that 18 of AJ Hamill, who's catching up to the 71 machine here. It's going to be interesting now that everything was reset, like you like to call it, Evan, and like we like to say here at LSRTV. He now has a shot. He had a little bit of contact, as we saw with Brandon Otto, that sent Brandon Otto back a bit. Brandon Otto now on the back bumper of the 25 of Stefan Baranek, making quick work of these drivers in about the mid-pack here, Evan. So it's going to be interesting to see when he catches up to AJ Hamill and what he does to AJ Hamill, whether he just passes him cleanly or maybe gives him a little bit more of a shot. We go up here to the battle for the lead. Nicholas Rasmussen still right on the back bumper of Justin Fuller. Hasn't used that bumper just yet, but he's off to, he seems like he's back to where he was at the start here, Evan. Just really fast on the start. Maybe if he can keep up this momentum, he'll be able to reclaim that lead.
Yeah, problem for him, I think, is if what we saw in that first run is any indication of to what the car is overall, he's going to start to lose that little bit of a speed advantage as the run continues to go on. So if he doesn't get around Justin Fuller now and then be able to kind of protect that positioning, the 71 might be in a little bit of a tough spot. He'll look to the inside that time. Fuller all the way down to the yellow line to shut the door, and Rasmussen going to have to wait at least one more time around. In the middle of all of this is that 81, or rather the 18 of AJ Hamill that we were talking about. Not really a part of the two-way battle for first, and not really a part of that two-way battle for fourth behind him, as Otto continues to apply fierce pressure to the back of Stefan Baranek. That battle has gotten a little bit physical at times already.
Yeah, definitely. They're coming around. Nicholas Rasmussen all over the back bumper of that 51 machine. Justin Fuller doing everything he can to try to keep Nicholas Rasmussen behind him, as they're still kind of pulling away from this pack they got behind him. You know, AJ Hamill has now backed up to the 25 machine, which means that's only one car separating him and Brandon Otto. So Brandon Otto maybe be trying to get by the 25, not only to get back up to the lead, but maybe give a little bit of payback to AJ Hamill.
Just now inside of 50 laps to go from the Langley Speedway. Again, as of 2 laps ago, would have been the regular race distance in the regular season at about 125 laps. So these extra 50 laps that we were talking about could be the decision maker. Rasmussen took a charge at the bumper for the race lead the last time by. Hamill still hanging out in third. Baranek continues to hang off Brandon Otto, but Otto taking his time has brought Al Smith Jr. back into this. That 96 had a great run going 1 week ago at the Bristol Motor Speedway. Unfortunately, got in an accident at the very end of that race, and that's part and why he's a little bit down in the championship standings at 9th overall into tonight. So the 96, a little bit of a dark horse coming into this thing late as well. About 6 cars in this battle out of the 11 on the lead lap, in contact with the 25. Marinak slides and hangs on to it again as Odo continues to grow more and more impatient.
Yeah, definitely a lot of impatience on that 24's mind right now. He was not playing around. He got right up under the 25 machine, and he just was not moving. He's way faster than Stefan Marinak at this point, and you see Stefan Marinak forfeit the position. Stefan Marinak would rather finish in that 5th place position than get wrecked and taken out of this thing, which is a smart move because Brandon Odo does not look too happy on the racetrack right now. Nicholas Rasmussen up here in the lead. We still got this battle going on, and they're still about maybe 8/10 of a second in front of that 18 of AJ Hamill, so they're able to battle and keep a consistent gap on these guys. But maybe with this 24 machine approaching AJ Hamill, this could all change here, Evan, and maybe move that 24 machine back up into this, make it a 3-car battle once again. But Nicholas Rasmussen trying everything he can to get around Justin Fuller at this moment.
And I believe that little bit of a bump may be just a sign of things to come, as that 24 of Odo has now been able to get the P4. It is a clean asphalt in front of him up to AJ Hamill in that number 3 position. Marinak might be in an interesting spot to have to still battle with Al Smith Jr. again. Don't count the 96 out of this thing just yet, as we take 41 laps to go the next time by. Battle for the race lead still on. Rasmussen still there, but hasn't really been able to challenge on the 51 like he was able to in the first 10 laps or so off for the restart, where he took a couple of peeks to the inside. He just really continues to sit single file in line behind. Same thing with AJ Hamill, who is hanging out here in the wings. I said he wasn't really a part of the battle for the race lead. Still relatively true, because he's a couple of car lengths off, but he's very much there, only 7/10 off of that P1 spot.
Yeah, he's definitely in the catbird seat at this moment in time, and any of these drivers in front of him make a mistake, he'll be able to capitalize it with ease, but he cannot take his eyes off his mirror for a second. He's got Brandon Odo constantly closing into his back bumper, so that's got to be looming payback in the distance. So it's going to be interesting to see these two drivers get into it, but it's also interesting to watch Justin Fuller and Nicholas Rasmussen, as I've mentioned so many times here, Evan. It's just interesting to see how many lanes Nicholas Rasmussen is able to try, and I'm surprised Nicholas Rasmussen hasn't tried to use that bumper yet to maybe move Justin Fuller out of the way. It doesn't seem like he's going to be able to now, as he's kind of fallen off of that 51 machine just a little bit, not too much though. So maybe using up his stuff here in the late goings of this race, and maybe calling it just maybe too much, as we saw earlier on in this run.
As the battle for the race lead continues, we'll take this opportunity to step aside and go LSRTV non-stop so you don't miss a moment of the action. Justin Fuller, your race leader at lap 140, closed it in on the final 35 laps of action tonight for the Langley Speedway. You're watching LSRTV's continuing coverage of the 2016-2017 Upstate Racing League Les Enterprises MP Roy Incorporated Pro Late Model Series. Back to Langley on the other side. Welcome back live to the Langley Speedway. Your race leader at lap number 147 is still the 51 of Justin Fuller, but Brandon Oda made a move to move into the number 3 spot. I think a three-way fight for the race lead is just on the other side. Tonight's coverage of the Upstate Racing League Les Enterprises MP Roy Incorporated Pro Late Model Series is brought to you in part, as always, by Les Enterprises MP Roy. Formed back in 2007 as Canada's only authorized racing electronics dealership and as a trackside parts vendor, they have since been expanding their offering. Their major products include AR Bodies, Coleman Racing Products, Jones Racing, Leaf Raceware, Longacare Racing Products, Port City Race Cars, Racing Electronics, Receiver, and even Swift Springs. For more information regarding Les Enterprises Empire Incorporated or their product offering, you can check them out online today at www.lesenterprisesmproinc.com, or you can call them at 1-877-35-MP-ROY. That's 1-877-356-7769. The 7-1 Nicholas Rasmussen, he can see the number 24 Chevrolet Corvette of Brandon Odo getting bigger and bigger in his rearview mirror, Chris, and he's trying to pick it up and get at Justin Fuller as this thing's about to get interesting with 24 to go.
Yeah, just when we thought the 24's race was over after that contact with AJ Hamill, he surprised us once again. You can never count out Brandon Odo, especially at one of his favorite tracks like Langley. He's right all over the back bumper of Nicholas Rasmussen, which Nicholas Rasmussen has been all over the back bumper of Justin Fuller since about the drop of the green flag, Evan. So now we got a 3-car battle for the lead, and I'm thinking it's going to be shades of what we saw before the last caution came out, where it's just going to be a lot of beating and banging, and we'll see who makes the first mistake to forfeit some positions.
Well, they continue to look lower and lower on the apron again, but Odo got into that contact off for the restart from what has been the one and only caution flag we've seen tonight. He went all 4 tires below the yellow line to get around Al Smith Jr. Don't think that these guys aren't afraid of getting creative or getting physical. Rasmussen into the bumper that time, a little bit sideways. You saw the white gloves on board going side to side, trying to hang on off of quarter number 2, and it cost him some time. Thought that might have been the opening the 24 was looking for. It wasn't. This one going to go all the way to the end. Now inside of 20 to go.
Yeah, definitely 20 laps to go. There's not a lot of room for error here, so Nicholas Rasmussen's going to have only a limited amount of more stocks he can take at the 51 of Justin Fuller before this one's over, and he can't afford to make a costly one and cost him that second place position to Brandon Odo. Brandon Odo kind of looking towards the inside of Nicholas Rasmussen now, maybe going to get by him and maybe have something for Justin Fuller. As we saw before the caution came out, they were battling pretty hard, Evan, so I'm not going to count out this 24 as he goes all 4 under the yellow line once again. So it's going to be interesting to see how low that 24 is willing to go just to get by these cars.
24 is somebody who has gone low and both used the bumper. Which one does he decide to go to first? Because again, there's a certain point at which you have to get around to 71. Going to be 16 to go this time by. He can't just hang up behind him all day. To the inside he goes, side by side for second. Rasmussen not going to give things up. He'll battle back on the outside, but the 24 preferred positioning in 1 and 2 looks to get the run off the corner. Yes, sir, he got him. Brandon Odo going to move to second with 15 laps to go. Can he get those 3 car lengths down and get to the bumper of the 51 now?
And if you're the 51 of Justin Fuller, are you concerned about that 24 machine? Are you just keeping all eyes ahead and just trying to run your race and hit your marks? Because we're getting into the late stages of this race now, Evan, so Justin Fuller can't afford to make any mistakes, especially with the fast Brandon Odo on his back bumper. So are you paying attention to that Brandon Odo machine, or are you more focused in front of you and making sure you run your race and not too focused about another driver's race?
Keep it in mind that if you get a little bit too physical with somebody, I wouldn't recommend that being Justin Fuller, and there's still 3 chase races to go after tonight. So whatever happens to decide the winner in this one, you're going to have to deal with that for the next 3 races in this championship. But we're back where we were at about that halfway point. Fuller and Odo 1-2. This is the battle that we thought we were going to see. Caution came out. Fuller did his job, got on and off of the pit lane in P1 and stayed up front. Odo lost some spots on pit road, dropped all the way back to P6 after contact, but he has clawed his way back. A driver who has never finished worse than P1 at this Langley Speedway is going to get a shot. He hasn't led a single lap tonight. He's going to try to work the 24, closes into the bumper of the 51. 10 laps to go this time. By doesn't make the move yet.
and he has to be able, because this could be the only move Brandon Odo gets at that 51 machine. So does he try to go low like he did on Nicholas Rasmussen, or use that bumper? If I was the 24 machine of Brandon Odo, I would be using that bumper to the best of my ability. Evan, just move that 51 machine up a lane, get under him, and drive off the corner. But it's going to be interesting because, like you said, if there was one driver you do not want to get physical with, especially with 3 races left to go, it is that 51 machine, because he can be very unforgiving in the weeks to come, Evan. So I think Brandon Odo is going to try to race Justin Fuller as clean as possible, because he knows if he gets on that 51's bad side, it could just spell disaster for his championship hopes.
I've also been letting the 24 know, hey, you're running out of laps. You don't want to make the move too early, especially if you use the bumper, because you don't want to give them enough time to get back to you. A shot that time in corner number 4. We work lap 169. When we get to 5 laps to go, a caution would end this race. It is going to be a 2-horse fight for the win, and if something happens between these guys, Nicholas Rasmussen awaits in the wings just 0.6 of a second back. Does Brandon Odo go to the chrome horn? There will be 5 laps to go next time by.
Yeah, definitely Brandon Odo all over the back bumper of Justin Fuller, not really moving him yet. He's still giving some shots all over the back bumper of Justin Fuller right now. He's not moving that 51 machine as much as he would like to, maybe get underneath him, but he can't afford to make too many more mistakes as he gets so close to the 51's back bumper and taking a swipe out of that left corner panel. So he's got about 5 laps to go now, Evan. It's going to be interesting to see what this 24 does. 4 to go this time by.
At the point of no return, it's a caution or this race is going to be over with. 24 look to the bottom that time. He is still yet to do it. Is Brandon Odo just sitting and waiting to set him up for a bump and run in the final corner? This time by 3 laps to go, still all over him.
It's not easy. This 24 machine's got to have a lot of thoughts going through his mind. He can say, I can just move the 51 machine as he gives him a shot. 2 shots into the corner, all over the back, but we're moving him up the track, gets him loose, going down into the corner number 1. Is Brandon Odo going to have anything more? He's going to hit him back. He hit him all 4 tires under the yellow flag, going into 3. We're going to get the white flag this time by, Evan.
I think that was it. I said don't make the move too early. White flag in the air this time. Odo with the bump and run. Fuller crossed him up, came back. Keep it on at corners 3 and 4 for the final time. How hard does the 51 drive it in? Final corner, Fuller to the apron. He'll hit him in the left rear corner panel, but Brandon Odo hangs on and leads just 2 laps to win from Langley. And the 51 adjusted Fuller expresses his displeasure post-race. Odo remains undefeated from Langley with a 2-lap to go bump and run. Spectacular finish tonight as Fuller gave it everything he could. And a little bit more, Chris, off in 3 and 4 and gave the 24 a hell of a shot. Wasn't enough, though, as the 24 hung on to bring her back.
Yeah, definitely amazing run by the top 3. As you saw there towards the end, Nicholas Rasmussen was trying to capitalize on Justin Fuller's misfortunes, just wasn't able to get there. So Brandon Odo, Justin Fuller, Nicholas Rasmussen, your top 3. We'll talk to these drivers here in just a little bit. You see the replay of the wild action between Justin Fuller and Brandon Odo. Just a lot of shots going back and forth here, Evan. A well-deserved victory by Brandon Odo, and the streak is still alive. But we've mentioned this before, Justin Fuller is not a driver you want to get on your bad side. Do you think there's a possibility for retaliation at any of the 3 chase races coming up?
I think that if there's any time the 51's behind you late in a race you could expect to hit, especially after you hit him and move him out of the way, because if I recall correctly, this isn't the first time this season that those guys have made contact up front, and the 51 now gets to sit on pit road following the 24's signature celebration in the quarters, and gets to see the driver in front of him parked on top of the checkered flag on the front straightaway. Brandon Odo is your race winner tonight from the Langley Speedway. Leads just 2 laps on route to his, remaining his undefeated streak at Langley, yet to be defeated. Thought tonight would have been tonight. Not going to happen. He picks up race win at number 4 on the season and gets a critical result in the championship. We'll go trackside. We'll talk with him down in Victory Lane, and we'll also talk with the rest of your top finishers on the other side. You're watching the 2016-2017 Upstate Racing League Les Enterprises MP Roy Incorporated Pro Late Model Series on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing. Welcome back live to the Langley Speedway after a thrilling finish to tonight's New York Dirt Kart Series 175, defending series champion and still undefeated from the Langley Speedway. Brandon Oda going to be trackside with us in a moment. First, we'll take a look at tonight's LSRTV full race results for round number 13 and race number 2 on the championship. Brandon Oda, your winner tonight. Justin Fuller gave it everything he had and then some, but the final quarter becomes home P2, and Nicholas Rasmussen comes home in third. We'll be trackside with them in just a moment. Fourth place tonight for AJ Hamill, a good result for Al Smith Jr., who rounds through your top 5. Stefan Bernat comes home in 7th position, 9th spot for James McIntyre Jr., I believe your biggest mover tonight, and tonight's Tag TV Hard Charger Award going to belong to Mr. Sean Cool, who started 16th and comes home in 8th tonight. Just behind him, Dan DeBoot comes home in 9th, and all 10 drivers who finished on the lead lap, capped off by CJ Levere.
In that 11th position, one lap down, Brian Rogers Jr., Jason Stinney coming home 12th, AJ Bunch 13th, Mike Holtzclaw in that 22 machine, he's 14th, 15 belongs to Alex Oriens, Jay Dubuque finishing 16th, 17th, that 20 machine of Justin McDuff, 18th, Eric Spencer, and in 19th, and the last car to take time here tonight, Evan, is that 93 of Kel Frenier.
Look top to bottom at your LSR TV full race results. Now we go trackside with your race winner tonight for the 4th time on the season. Brandon Otto is at Upstate Racing League Victory Lane, and it is the first time in the chase for the championship. We're trackside with your winner tonight in our New York Dirt Kart Series 175. Brandon, congratulations. 2 laps led. Not bad when you end up at Victory Lane. Man, talk us through this. A lot of our conversation tonight was that you're undefeated at this racetrack, and there's a reason behind that. You like this place. But the car wasn't overtly fast in practice or qualifying, but you guys did look really good on the long run. Before I ask you about the finish there, you're at the halfway point in this race, and you look like you were in a pretty good spot. You and Fuller had worked up to P1 and 2, and then the caution came out. You dropped back a couple of spots on pit road, and then that contact dropped you back to P6. At that moment, what were you thinking?
Yeah, at that moment, I was pretty discouraged. I know I was a little heated, especially after all that contact and stuff like that. But I just tried to collect myself, collect my thoughts. I knew we had a fast car, and I knew we were consistent. So I knew as long as we just kept, ticking off those laps after lap after lap, just consistent laps like that, I knew we were going to end up catching them. And I knew we knew how to run that faster line around that track. And it just came down to consistently getting that down and just working through all that traffic. Luckily, we had a lot of nice guys moving out of the way for me, and just being really courteous out there. So I gotta give them props out there, and eventually caught those leaders. So it was nice.
I think the finish that we got is the finish that we deserved, because I think it would have been a shame if we had a couple of cautions late. You weren't able to get back up front. So then you, Fuller, and Rasmussen are going at it. You're able to get around Nicholas, get to that number 2 spot, and you waited to make the move till 2 laps to go. And it's also something we were discussing is, if you're going to go for the bump and run, you don't want to make the move too early and give him a chance to get back at you. So we thought you might have been waiting for the last lap or the last corner. You make the move with 2 laps to go. He comes back at you not once but twice, but you guys hang on. Talk us through that exchange from behind the wheel.
Yeah, for sure. I wasn't even expecting to make that move that early. I saw Fuller was checking up because the lap car was coming through, and I just caught him real quick in that corner, and I figured, if this was now or never at this point, if I was right on his bumper, it was the best time to make that move, and kept on, like you said. Yeah, I thought that was a little bit too soon. Hopefully he's not too mad. I know that he wasn't too happy about that, but it's the bump and run move. It's the short track deal. Sometimes that's just what you got to do, but yeah, those last 2 laps they were pretty heated. I know Nick was right on the back of Fuller, so we just had to hope for the best and hope he wasn't going to drive it in there too hard and turn me at least too much. So yeah, I'm really glad that we hung on, and I'm really glad that I'm able to stay undefeated at this track. It was really awesome to be able to say that I'm the only one who's won here in this series.
That one caution at the halfway point obviously brought you guys down pit road for tires. It looked like off of the drop of the first green flag when Nicholas was on pole and kind of ran away, and that even off of that restart, even though Fuller was in control, he was all over him. It looked like the 71 was really good on the short run, and based on, again, your guys' numbers not being overtly spectacular in qualifying and such, it did look like, as you noted, that you guys were better on a long run because you know that quicker line around here as the run goes on. Do you feel like that the fact that we only had one caution and had those two very long green flag runs, especially in that second segment, that allowed you to get from second, or rather from sixth position up to second, and obviously the battle for the race win and get the job done at the end. Do you think you could attribute that to this thing being green for so long? You think that kind of played into your favor?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's all got to do with, being on the long run like that. And I knew some of these guys run a line that burns off your tires really quick. And I've been, playing around with that in practice. I was messing around, seeing which line we were going to be better for maintaining those tires over those long runs. And just running that low line was fast, and it conserved tires like that. So we just honestly sat there and kept clicking them off. Like I said, like the long run does attribute to that. But I mean, a few years ago when we won this race again, I mean, we had caution after caution after caution. Sometimes you just got lucky on those restarts. So I feel like even if we had some cautions, we probably still had a good chance to win this race. But I'm glad it came out the way it did. We were able to take it away on the long run.
You and Fuller, who come home 1-2 tonight, entered the championship standings 5th and 4th, respectively, chasing down Nicholas Rasmussen. AJ Hamill was in front of you guys. He comes home 4th tonight with a great result. Brian Rogers Jr., not a really good night. He came home 11th. So I don't know if you guys are going to come out of here as the top driver in the championship. I think Nicholas may still have that locked up. But whatever the case may be, this thing is far from done. So we look into the next step at a championship. I think that last season a lot of the talk was about you and Fuller, and I think that Nicholas is right there with you guys as well. We go into the third race on this chase from the Stafford Motor Speedway. I mean, it looks like that the bar is going to be set, that you need basically a top 3 or top 5 every single week to have a shot at this thing. What are you guys planning on doing going into that one?
Well, honestly, Stafford's probably one of my worst tracks on the schedule next to Iowa. So, again, just like you said, getting a top 3 out of that would be what we need, and I really can't ask for any more than that. If we can go out there and get a win, I'd absolutely love to do that. And who knows, maybe with this new tire we can go back there and be more competitive than we have been in the past. But yeah, I just want to try to finish strong there, at least keep it in the top 5 so we can move on to the last couple of races and just set ourselves up for a championship here.
We'll let you take off before we do, Brandon. The sponsors, the shout-outs, all that good stuff. Who makes it happen for you?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, because I forgot her in past interviews, I got to thank my girlfriend Danielle Jones for watching. I got to thank Mike Tedonio watching. My dad's watching. Ed Neal. I'm sure there's a bunch of other guys watching from Pole Position Raceway Buffalo, iRacing Memes, Auto Rescue Team, all the guys that make it happen up in the broadcast booth. Always like talking to you guys. I got to thank Al for putting this all on, and our sponsor for tonight, NYDKS. Thanks, guys.
So the unofficial points just into us, Brandon. We're showing that you're still 3rd in the championship, 9 points off of the top spot, and Fuller is 2nd in front of you, 8 points off. So you guys have some work to do. We expect, nonetheless, that you and that 24 team is going to bring it every single week for the next 3 weeks. Congratulations tonight, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Race winner tonight for the Langley Speedway, picking up number 4 on the season. On the flip side of all that fun is Justin Fuller, who comes home 2nd. He will leave tonight 2nd in the points in front of Brandon Otto, which may be some solace in the end, Chris, but I know the 51 wanted to be in victory lane, and you're trackside with him.
Yeah, sitting down here with Justin Fuller, that driver of the 51 machine. A long race here tonight, 175 laps. Justin Fuller, you come home 2nd. Why don't you take us through a little bit of that wild ride you had tonight?
Better than expected. I'm not very good here at Langley. We're just trying to make a good race out of it. And I knew I was better than Nick on the long run, but I knew Brandon would be a lot better on the long run as well. So he's pretty good at this track, so it's hard to beat him here. But it was an okay night. It's better than the past few races have been.
And there was a lot of beating and banging between you and Brandon Otto towards the final few laps and even after the race. Was that just showing your displeasure? Is that going to carry on to any future racing, or is that just good, hard racing, good, clean fun?
Oh, I mean, I would have done the same thing, but a little bit of frustration. It's not the first time this season that's happened by him. Been an ongoing theme this season so far, so hopefully I don't need a point or two at the end of the season and he's in front of me, because that might not be pretty.
And, we talked a lot about, this season being the consistent factor, and we've seen in past seasons it's been basically you and Brandon Odo, but now we add a third driver to that mix. That's Nicholas Rasmussen, and we got the unofficial results up here in the booth with us, which shows you second, 8 points off, and Brandon Odo third in the point standings, now 9 points off. Do you have any strategy going into these final 3 races to kind of, contain the consistency of Nicholas Rasmussen?
I just got to go out and do the best job I can. Stafford's going to be an okay track for me next week. I'm not too great there, but it's got a little quirky of a line, and I'm kind of looking forward to that. But the last 2 tracks on the schedule, I'm really looking forward to. They're my best tracks by far. So 8 points isn't a whole lot. We can make that up with leading laps and getting the pole and winning the races. So it's far from over. But Nicholas, he's put together a great season. If there wasn't a chase, he'd be walking away with us. He's very consistent, and he's very what's the word I'm looking for? He's gotten a lot better. He's matured, and he's very good compared to when the league first started.
Now, before we let you go here, any sponsors, shout-outs, anything that makes that 51 machine happen? Who makes it happen for you, Justin?
I got to thank Atomic Sign Wraps, atomicwraps.com out of Watertown, New York. John Ada for the paint scheme, does a great job. Got to thank Aftermath Motorsports with Michael Conti for all they do with our team, Pro Series, and DWC. Got to thank New York Dirt Kart Series for sponsoring the race. Lee Enterprise, MP Roy for sponsoring the league. You guys, LSRTV, doing a great job. Al Smith and all the admins, all the work they do in this league. And hopefully we get to do a few more interviews. We've been lacking on the interview department for me here lately, so it was fun.
Yeah, we hope to be talking with you a lot more as well. Justin, congratulations on your second place finish.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good night.
And there you have it, guys. That's your second place finisher. That's the 51 machine. A content Justin Fuller, hoping to be in victory lane tonight. But I'm going to toss it down to Trevin, who is with Mr. Consistency himself, that third place finisher in that 71 machine, Nicholas Rasmussen.
Yeah, definitely. Consistency is his middle name. We're down here with the number 71 of Nicholas Rasmussen. Nicholas, how was that down there on the track tonight? You came off of a win in Bristol. That was a high banking. Now you're down here at Langley, a 6-degree banking. How is your car handling out there?
Oh, well, apparently fine for qualifying, because somehow I got it together and got a good lap in there to get pole position. I always knew that I was going to struggle a bit on the long run. I'm simply not as good here at Langley. Maybe it's because of the banking on the longer runs. So that's something I need to work out. But it was a good fun race. We had some good battles. Unfortunately, I lost the lead. There's almost an incident in front of me, and I checked up for it. But to be honest, I think I was going to lose it anyway. Brandon and Justin was just too fast on the longer runs. So after the pit stops, I tried to be a bit more aggressive. Simply wanted to see if I could push Justin Fuller into a mistake, get the lead, and see if I could hold on to it then. But you don't just push Justin Fuller into a mistake, and Brandon ended up getting past me. So fell back at the end, waited for something to happen. It almost did, going into the final corner. But third is a good position. I'm not gonna lie, I'm obviously a little disappointed. I wanted to win. That's what I'm here for. But looking at the bigger picture, third is not all that bad at all.
Do you think a late race restart would have helped if you went toe-to-toe with Justin Fuller or Brandon Odo? How do you think you would have come out on that?
Hopefully I could have gotten something. I mean, I was P3, and that's always an interesting spot to be in here at Langley, if it would have come out. I tried to fall back a bit, as I said, but we came to 5 to go very early, and I realized that was not going to be a restart, so, a lot of things could have had happened at a late restart, but again, something almost happened going into the final corner, where I think they were pushing each other, Justin and Brandon, for position, and I mean, you can always say what if something happened, but at the end of the day, it's third, and it's a good result.
Now, looking at the updated point standings, you are number one still. You are on top. How are you feeling about going into Stafford next week and the other 3 races to go in the rest of this chase?
Well, again, points. I'm not looking too much at points. I'm just trying to go up there every time and do my best. See if I can get away with a win or a top 3 as today. Stafford is kind of a flat track as well. It's got a little bit more banking. A little bit more like a mini Martinsville almost. So long runs, that's something I need to work on. Then we have 5 flags and New Smyrna for the 2 final races, and obviously these tracks have some more banking. Maybe, just maybe, they'll suit us better. We just don't know. Competition here is always tough, and you see fighting with the Brandon Otos and Justin Fullers. It's difficult, and you got to be at the top of your game at every single racetrack you go to, so a lot of things can happen. I look forward to it, so I'm just going to go out there and give it my all again and see how it goes.
I know we're up in the booth. We're definitely looking forward to the next 3 races here at the Upstate Racing League. Before we let you go, is there any sponsors, shout-outs, anybody who gets it done for you?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to the team Gap SRT again. I know I do this every time, but they really deserve a lot of credit. Go in and help each other a lot with practice and anything. So huge shout out to them. Big shout out to my competitors today. Brandon Odo for winning the race and Justin Fuller for coming in second. It's a good, clean fight. That's good to see that we can have that here at the front of the field. It's very enjoyable, so I want to give a shout out to them for having a good, clean fight. You guys in the booth, the guys watching the races, Al Smith Jr., the league admin for doing everything he can for the league. He's really putting everything into it. And obviously the sponsors of today's race and the sponsor of the league, gotta give a shout out to them. No racing here on LSRTV without you guys. So yeah, that's it. Let's move on to Stafford Motor Speedway and have some fun there.
That's Nicholas Rasmussen, your 3rd place finisher tonight and your points standings leader overall. Thank you for chatting with us, and we'll throw it back up into the booth with Evan.
That's a chat with your top finishers tonight from the Langley Speedway. Again, Brennan Odo, Justin Fuller, Nicholas Rasmussen, 1, 2, and 3. They ride in the championship standings as they finish tonight, 3, 2, 1, because Nicholas Rasmussen is still on top of the board. Justin Fuller, 8 points off P2, and Brennan Odo at 9th. Then, well, all that's being said, Chris, we can't forget about AJ Hamill, the dark horse, under the radar again tonight, tied with Brandon Odo for 3rd in the championship, and Brian Rogers Jr. is still 5th, but then you go a big jump from 9 points back to 18. So, well, we're talking about Rasmussen, Fuller, and Odo, mainly because they've been the flashy guys this season, if that makes sense. The guys who, together, combined for 11 wins. All of them, have high top 5s and top 10 counts. AJ Hamill's right there with the defending series champion, and we don't talk about him as much, maybe unfairly, because of the fact that he has yet to win this season. He only has 3 top 5s and 11 top 10s, but he's somebody else who is peaking at the exact right moment and can really be a part of this thing coming down to the end of this championship.
Yeah, Evan, he's one of those drivers that consistency plays a huge factor, and we don't mention him a lot, but he's a very consistent driver, and it's going to be interesting to see with over these next few races, especially with the blood boiling here between Brandon Odo and Justin Fuller, how he's going to play into this mess, because he could turn into a Mr. Quiet to a Mr. Where did he come from in a very short amount of time here, Evan. So it's going to be interesting to see, Stafford, 5 flags, New Smyrna, these next 3 tracks that we have up here on the schedule. It's going to be interesting to see how these drivers treated. We also heard Justin Fuller, say, he hopes that, Brandon, he doesn't need a point and Brandon Oto's in front of him because, payback could be on the horizon, which is just something you have to expect from a driver like Justin Fuller, who just does not take crap from anybody, Evan.
It's always been the way the 51 is driven, and we expect that to be no different, especially when a championship is on the line. We're going to take off tonight here for the Langley Speedway. Did want to give one more shout out to all the presenting sponsors of the Upstate Racing League for making this possible. NHR Racing, CKF Construction, Hag TV, of course, VT Fantasy Racing, Kingsport Tire and Auto Center, and our title sponsor, Lathes Enterprises and P. Roy Incorporated. Until next time, on behalf of the entire team at LSRTV LLC, as always, for the folks behind the scenes and for the crew topside with you tonight. For Trevor Valderrama, for Chris Murdoch, for our producer, Cisco Scaramuza, and for myself, Evan Pasoko, I want to thank you so much for tuning in and congratulate race winner Brandon Otto, and as well give a tip of the cap to Nicholas Rasmussen, your championship leader going forward into the last couple of races. Still 3 to go on this championship. You can find us 2 more nights before the end of the week. We'll be on the air tomorrow night at 9 o'clock Eastern with the Super Speedway Cup Series. We'll also be on the air this Saturday at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern for the United Sim Racing BNC Lawn and Landscaping Truck Series. You can find a full extended broadcast schedule on our new website at www.livesimracing.com. We also encourage you to stay up to date with us so you don't miss any of our action in the coming weeks. Make sure you're subscribed to us on YouTube at youtube.com/LSRTV. You can also be engaged with us on social media by following us on Twitter at LSRTV and on Facebook at facebook.com/LSRTV official. That does it tonight for Langley Speedway. Brandon Otto is your race winner. 3 races to go in the championship. We'll be at the halfway point next week, and we'll see you then from the Stafford Motor Speedway. Good night.